Welcome once again to Octane Mobile Gaming with yours truly, Octane. So the event has started and today we do our possible deck combination. But first we're going to have a look at some of the cards that will actually boost Arcane Killer attack. However, there's one particular card that we got from the last event which will not boost your attack in this event. Simply because it's been basically not nerf, but it's been restricted by the simple fact that if you haven't got a commander gem, if you haven't got commander gems on the board to match, you cannot activate its passive skill, which is Clockwork Upgrade. When Dark Commander gems are matched, increase the total damage dealt by Arcane Killer by 60% for one turn. Now, if this card did not have that particular restriction on it, combine this card alongside Circuit Break, Hilaria, you could create a deck that could do massive damage. Even though these two cards are from two different affinities, you could add it simply to the Earth deck that we got now, and you will have a deck that probably could kill a boss if you've got the Master Collection card. If you've got 2 copies of the Master Collection card and the Ultimate Form, adding these 2 cards to the mix, scratch that. Adding these 2 cards to the mix alongside the Ultra Rare, 1 copy of the Ultra Rare, 1 copy of the Master Collection card, 1 copy of the Ultimate Form. As long as you can generate a full board of Earth Power Gem, you could actually generate well over 200 trillion damage. And this is the reason why Network decided to actually put that particular restriction on this card. So for this event, this card is absolutely useless, can't be used. So let's look at some of the ones that can be used for this event. Soldier of Love is a light arcane killer card. It is a commander card, but can also increase the arcane killer attack by 300%. The thing with this particular card is that it uses something called Triple Love, which you don't really need to use, because whenever you activate a battle skill, you will increase Arcane Killer attack by 300%. For every stack of Triple Love for 1 turn. So for every stack of Triple Love, it increases it a bit more. Activating the battle skill with just 1 stack of Triple Love is just gonna give you 300% boost on your attack. That's all it's gonna do. So that's a card that you could consider to use. The second one, which is my favorite, and I think it's the most powerful of all of these cards, is Circuit Break Hilaria. It's the one that we used from last event to boost the damage output of our Dark Commander deck, which worked really, really wonderful. It actually enabled us to use 1 Master Collection card, one Master Collection card, 1 Ultra Rare, 1 Ultimate Form alongside this one and the main card to do 500% overkill on an Ultra Kill boss, which was absolutely fantastic. I think it's one of the most diverse cards in the arcane killer bracket. It's a really good utility card, and it is absolutely wonderful. It's a main card, it's not a Master Collection card, it's not an Ultra Rare, but for a main card to be such a diverse utility card is really, really outstanding. I think Circuit Break Hilaria is really outstanding in boosting the damage output, not damage, but attack output of your cards within a Slayer or a Commander event, as long as it's Arcane Killer. So it's a really good Arcane Killer utility card. Consecrated Wizardess. Now, Consecrated Wizardess is also a commander card, I should say. It's an Earth Commander card, and it creates 5 Power Gem tools plus 1 additional per 100 Arcane Killer intensity. So this card will work really well with the current deck, because the current deck, the Master Collection card, actually produce an extra Power Gem based on Arcane Killer intensity. This one also produces extra Power Gem based on Arcane Killer intensity, so both will work alongside each other quite well. However, this is a commander card, so it will not generate as much damage as its Slayer counterpart. Plus, it's not within its event anyway. The good thing about this card is whenever a hero delays the enemy turn, it increases Arcane Killer attack by 1200% for 1 turn. Now that's a massive damage output. The pitfall to this passive skill is you have to add a card to the deck that's gonna actually delay the enemy's turn, and that is where you start to have problems if you haven't got the ultimate form, that is. But if you've got the ultimate form, you could add this card alongside the ultimate form and everything will work really well. However, if you haven't got the ultimate form, you will need to add its Master Collection card to the mix, because the Master Collection card actually does a turn delay, plus it gives you a revive as well, which is really good. Or you could add the 3-star turn delay card, which you can find, well, you can't really find it in your codex. You can't find it in your codex. It's not available through the codex, so that's a card that you will have to, if you haven't got it, you will have to collect it sometime along the way. However, this is a really good utility card. Not as brilliant as Circuit Break Illyria, but it still is a wonderful card that can actually increase your Arcane Killer attack. Next up is the Jailers. The Jailers is the ultimate form for the previous card. It is much better at increasing the Arcane Killer's attack. It increased the Arcane Killer attack by 1200%, just like the Ultra Rare. However, its battle skill does a turn delay. So this card will actually activate its own passive, which makes it really, really good. Far better than its Ultra Rare counterpart. With this card, you can add only the Jailers to your deck, and your Jailers will do exactly what it says on the tin. No extra card needed, unless you want to actually activate the passive twice. Then you could add an extra turn delay card into the mix that will actually activate this skill, this passive skill, twice, because it said whenever a hero delay the enemy turn count, it increases Arcane Killer attack by 1200%. So if you use 2 cards that delays the enemy turn count, this actually stacks, which makes it absolutely brilliant. So this is one that you could actually add to the deck to increase your Arcane Killer attack, and it will be absolutely wonderful. Now the second passive will give you a revive, which is really, really brilliant. The third thing about this card, which is really, really brilliant, is that it will create 5 Earth Power Gem frees, and it will create 1 extra Power Gem free for every 100 Arcane Killer intensity that you generate. So with this card on the board, depends on the length of the fight, you can actually fill the board with Power Gem frees. This works in combination with the current Master Collection card, which does the same thing. It creates extra Power Gem based on intensity. Every 100 Arcane Killer intensity gives you an extra Power Gem on the board. So this card is a really, really magnificent card to add to the mix for long, drawn out fights that you need to generate massive amount of Power Gems and Arcane Killer Arcane attack increase. So this is absolutely brilliant. Of all the cards that I just showed you, the Jailer will be the one that comes out on top. Next up is the Light Slayer Arcane Killer cards. This is the Master Collection card. It's called Courageous Wonder Workers, and Courageous Wonder Workers will cleanse 4 debuff affecting your heroes, which is really good. That works absolutely wonderful, especially in a tight situation. You activate this card, you can cleanse 4 debuff affecting your deck. It also becomes immune for 1 turn, and it increases Arcane Killer attack by 250% plus 1% for every free Arcane Killer intensity for 4 turns. So the Arcane Killer attack will increase exponentially if your Arcane Killer intensity goes really, really high. This card also generates Arcane Killer intensity, which its counterpart, its Earth counterpart that I just spoke about, I forgot to mention that one also generate Arcane Killer intensity as well. So these 2 cards will actually help you to generate Arcane Killer intensity, which makes them really, really well. However, the Arcane Killer attack boost is a bit less on this one. It's 250 compared to the Jailers, which is 1200. However, this one can increase based on intensity, which makes it rather well. In a short fight, the Jailers will be really, really, really will work really good. In a long drawn out fight, this one, however, will pay dividends later on in the fight. As the Arcane Killer intensity increases, so will your attack increase. So this one pays dividends later on in the fight. However, it's got really something on it that I think most of us thought when this deck just came out, that why at the beginning of every battle it pinches 2 non-green gems into light gems. Simply, if you add this card to the deck, it will not convert your Earth gems to light gems, which makes it absolutely brilliant. So you add this to your Earth Slayer deck, it will not convert your Earth gems into light gems. It will only convert gems that are not Earth gems into light gems, which makes it works really, really well with your Earth Slayer deck. This card is absolutely brilliant. It's one that can be added quite easily to your deck and work in tandem. However, you will have to generate a bit of light gems to actually power up this card. So you will have to add a light arcane relic to the deck. You'll have to add it to the right hand side, so it will activate last, so you can power up this card. However, during the battle, because of the passive on the Master Collection card and I think the Ultimate Form, they continuously generate Earth power gems on the board, and the light gems on the board will get converted. So later on in the fight, if you have activated this skill quite early, you'll find that you'll find it very, very difficult to actually power up this skill for the second attack. So it's not really as effective as its Earth counterpart. The ultra rare for this deck does relatively the same thing. It cleanses 40 debuff affecting your card, and it increases Arcane Killer attack by 250% plus an extra 1% for every 4 Arcane Killer intensity. The passive as well does the same thing, where it converts our pinch. So it's at the start of each turn, create 2 light power gem. So I got that a bit wrong. At the start of every turn, it creates 2 light power gem. So this probably will work quite well if you use it alongside its Ultimate Form, because then you can actually create a few light gems on the board. So if you're going to create a deck using those particular cards, it would look something like this. So let's see, I've got everything in hero order. So I did go into the 500 gem vault twice, so I would call it 1,000 gem. Cost me 1,000 gem to actually get the ultra rare, which is Full Bloom Dark Drake. After getting Full Bloom Dark Drake, I was really happy, because then I only need to use 42 season coin from my 84 season coin that I have to craft only 1 card instead of 2 cards, which works really well. So next week I'll actually be able to craft either a Master Collection card or an ultra rare, depends on what I get from the gem vault. But if I should look at what has been happening for the last, I think it's 5 or 6 weeks, I haven't been able to draw any gold cards from the vault. Even with 50% off for 2 weeks, I wasn't able to draw any gold cards from the vault. So it continues. Hopefully it has been broken, and next week I'll be able to draw at least 1 gold card, not a relic, but maybe a Master Collection card or ultra rare, which will enable me to actually create the ultimate form far easily next week than it has been for the last 2 weeks. Or we'll just have to see what happens in the Fire Slayer event. Okay, let's move on. So we've got the Flourishing Fairies, which is the ultimate form. Next we want to put our Master Collection card. So we'll put our Shiny Master Collection card because it's got a higher damage output. And last but not least, you will need to put your ultra rare on the deck, simply because your ultra rare is the one that is going to increase your Arcane Killer attack from this particular deck. Next thing you'll need to do, you'll have to put your Light Arcane Killer relics. Let me see if I can find that one. I don't think that's it. That's Immortal Killer. Go to Arcane Killer. I think it was this one. And put a second one on it, which would be this one. And then we put our Arcane relics for this event. And your deck would look something like that. So your relics will start activating from left to right. So the last 2 relics that will actually activate are your 2 light relics, creating a bit of light power jumps on the board, so you can actually pop your card straight away. The Jailers is really good. So with the Jailers, what I would say is I'll only use the Jailers in conjunction with the current deck. And then I'll just add my 2 Master Collection cards to the mix, and the deck would look something like that. So this one, the only thing you'll need to do put on the board is just Earth Arcane. I think that's it. That's it. So you've got 5 Earth Arcane relic on the board. So this is a deck that I was using at the beginning. It has 4 main cards on it, and I know most people wouldn't be fortunate enough to get 4 main cards, but you should at least have 1 main card. Well, shouldn't really, because you might not have obtained a main card from the pack. You might not have obtained a main card from the event as well. I was fortunate enough, or unfortunate enough, to get 6 main cards, which I'd rather 1 main card and got some gold cards, but is what is. So let's go ahead and swap out some of these and use some of our support cards. Should have 1 more support card, so no more support cards. Let's go ahead and show this one in the mix. Now this deck is, I wouldn't say it's cheap, I wouldn't say it's obtainable, because not everybody would have Odd Worn Gorillas. However, if you've got the Master Collection card, or if you manage to get the ultra rare, you could obtain either of the cards that you needed to create the ultimate form from the Proving Ground store. Create this ultimate form and it will give you the Arcane Killer intensity, the Arcane Killer boost. So it will pass the killer boost onto the other cards, and that will give your deck an extra damage output. So that is one deck that could work. So this one will use 3 support cards, 1 main card or event card, and odd 1 gorillas, and you just add your relics according to what you've got onto this particular combination. It will not be very powerful, but it will give you a deck that can actually compete relatively okay in the event and enable you to actually complete the collection. So next up is the combination that I put together after obtaining my ultimate form, which uses Circuit Breaker Hilaria. It is quite powerful, quite effective, and it works really, really well. And this one is a combination using the odd 1 gorillas to give it that extra Arcane Killer damage output, which comes from the killer skill, and it works really, really well. But however, it's not really powerful as it hasn't got much attack increase. The only attack increase actually comes from the ultra rare. And if we look at the attack increase, it increases Arcane Killer attack for 1 turn by 30% per power gem skill that's triggered. So each time you trigger a power gem skill, this card will actually boost your damage, your attack output by 30%. On the board, we've got 4 cards on the board that's gonna trigger gem production. So it will multiply that 30 by 5, because the ultra rare as well actually creates power gems. So it's 5 times, so 5 trees is 15, so that's 150% damage output. On this deck, the reason why I've set this particular way is because Hilaria isn't going to create power gems with her battle skill. She creates power gem passively, so that doesn't really affect the damage, the attack output of the ultra rare, because it's not a power gem spawner. On this combination, however, you will want to put your ultra rare as the first card that you're going to activate. Because I normally play from right to left, I will activate my my ultra rare first and then activate all the other cards, so I will get that 150% increase in my attack output. This one, however, you will need, let's read the description on the back again. So it cleanses debuff and it becomes immune for 1 turn, and it increases, and if attack while immune, it will create power gem. So it will create power gem passively. So these 2 cards, this one and this one, will create power gems passively, so those will not increase the Arcane Killer attack of the ultra rare. So we leave those where they are. Okay, so that's it. But if there's other cards that you could add to the mix, that's an off affinity card that can increase Arcane Killer attack, if those cards actually produce power gems, you'll have to activate their skill after activating the ultra rare. The description of the ultra rare's battle skill is: each time a card that produces power gem skill is activated, it will increase Arcane Killer's attack by 30%. So it doesn't matter if it's Earth power gems, light power gems, it doesn't really matter. As long as it's power gem, it will activate this part of the battle skill for the ultra rare. So it doesn't really matter. So let's go ahead, get into a fight and see if these decks actually work quite well. Let's go in. Let's see if we can find something worthy of our time. Might not find anything that is worthy of our time because it's the first day, so most of the bosses aren't that strong. Okay, here's a boss. Let's go in and see what we can do. We're not going to use Circuit Break Illyria. First, we're going to use the one with the jailers. We're going to use 3 keys, and we're going to see relatively how this deck actually performs, if it's really worth our time. So the jailers will power up itself because it has got the killer skill, and you will see the passive gem spawning capability. There is. We'll go again, we'll make a second match, and then we'll activate all our cards. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, activate all our cards. We've got both boosts. Go ahead, swap. All our cards are pop up again. It's not like when you're playing with Circuit Break Illyria, you have to start searching. And as you can see, the damage output is really good. Okay, so we're gonna wait on the jailers. The jailers have got, I think it's a 4 or 5 turn cooldown, so we'll wait and do that particular card, and then it's okay. We'll just go ahead and activate our cards, see if we can put in a bit more damage before this. So without jailers, you can see that the damage output is quite low. The ultimate form is actually putting out 8 trillion damage, but with the jailers it actually put out around about 36 trillion damage, so that's quite a high damage output. So that's the one using jailer. This one, I'm not going to use it on this boss. Or what we could do, we could actually lock the boss. And then for those of you who are new to the game and you don't know how to lock the boss, what I've just done, I've actually gone in with 1 key, then I'm gonna quit the battle. Now the boss is locked. So when I go back in, nobody can attack the boss unless I actually rally that person into battle. And that's how you actually lock the boss. I actually learned that skill from a YouTuber that used to be around, that used to play the game. His name was Dubai Prince. He's the one who actually taught me about a lot of the things that I know about the game. So I haven't powered up all our battle skills, so we need to power up our battle skills. And as you can see, I'm producing both light power gems and I'm producing power gems as well, which is not bad. So I'll swap my light power gems just to get a few of them off the board, and then I'm gonna activate my battle skills. So I'll go ahead and activate my battle skills, and I'll see what type of damage output I'm actually working with. So the damage output is relatively low. I think that has something to do with the fact that I am not producing enough power gems on the board. So because I'm not producing enough power gems on the board, my damage output is quite low. Plus I've only got 3 cards. I've only got 3 cards on the board actually doing damage output the damage as main damage dealers. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna swap out this one, the ultra rare, and I am going to add a second Master Collection card. I'll leave the 2 relics on the deck. I'll go back again and I'll see if that improves the damage output. Quick matches is really good. Quick matches will enable you to push your intensity high quite quickly. Once you get your intensity as high as possible, as quickly as possible, you'll be able to produce far more power gems on the board. You generate intensity by just going through the turns, not by the attacks. So you don't really have to make gem matches of your deck's affinity, which is Earth. So we've gone up to 10 trillion, which is not too bad. It was much better than before. However, comparing this deck to the Jailer, I would say the Jailer is the one that comes out on top. So let's see if we can use Circuit Break Hilaria. I'm gonna go for Circuit Break Hilaria and see how well this one actually performs. When it comes to ease of playing, I would give the Jailer combination a 5 out of 5. When it comes to difficulty in playing, I would say I would give when it comes to ease of playing, the Jailers is definitely the easiest of the combinations to play. The hardest would be this one, Circuit Break Hilaria, simply because Circuit Break Hilaria actually gives you maximum amount of damage if you've got 8 or more power gem 1s on the board. Plus you need the intensity to be as high as possible. The minimum amount of intensity that you need to generate a decent amount of damage output is about 400 intensity, which makes it quite difficult and quite challenging to play. So go ahead, we activate our battle skills, except for Circuit Break Hilaria. We're actually waiting on the intensity to get to 400, if we get to 400 that is, before we run out of turn. So it's not really looking as wonderful for this combination as it was for the Jailers. So I would say if you've got the Jailers is the one to go for rather than Circuit Break Hilaria. But if Circuit Break Hilaria is the only one that you've got of all the cards that I just showed you, then do go for Circuit Break Hilaria. However, the light combo that I just showed you is one that I would stay clear of, because that one doesn't really work very well. So we're gonna try and activate Circuit Break Hilaria on the next turn, because we should have enough power gems on the board. That's fire power gems. Okay, so we're gonna activate all our skills. We haven't got enough fire power gems on the board anyway, but we're gonna activate all our skills because at the end of the day we're running out of time. Let's see damage output. So damage output is not brilliant because we didn't have 8 fire power gem 1s on the board, so damage output was never going to be great. So Circuit Break Hilaria can actually work. However, it is very difficult to play. It's time consuming. It's very labelsome. So I would say if you've got all of these cards that I actually showed you, Circuit Break Hilaria, the Jailers, and the Courageous Wonder Workers, I would go for the Jailers. The Jailers is the one that will work quite well with your current deck, because it's got several skills that your current deck actually possesses. It will increase the enemy turn count, which will activate its passive skill, increasing your Arcane Killer attack by 1200% for one turn. That cannot be increased anymore unless you've got a second card on the board that will increase the enemy turn count. But you don't really need a second card to do a second enemy turn count unless that's something that you particularly desire. It will give you a revive, which is quite good, and it will produce an extra power gem based on intensity, which works quite well when it comes to your Master Collection card. So your Master Collection card will upgrade 6 Earth Power Gem to 1 level higher. Then it will create 4 Earth Power Gem freeze. It at the start of each turn, it will create 1 Earth Power Gem plus 1 additional Earth Power Gem based on Arcane Killer intensity. So the passive can actually fill the board with power gems depending on how high you can get your intensity. I've got 2 of these on my deck, so every 100 intensity that I actually produce, I will be creating an extra 3 power gems, because the ultimate form actually create 1 extra power gem as well. So for every 100 Arcane Killer intensity that I generate, I'll be creating an extra 3 power gem on the board. So if I get up to 1,000 Arcane Killer intensity, I'll be producing 30 extra power gems, which in conjunction with my battle skills is far able to fill the board with power gem 4s, which is quite good. So this is the combination that I'll go for. This is a combination that I highly recommend. It's quite quick, quite easily to play. All the cards work in unison, and it's quite powerful. That's a combination that I would go for. For a more affordable, more obtainable combination, you can, if you've got the hard one gorillas, you can use the hard one gorillas in conjunction with your main card, with your event card and your support cards. However, it's not going to be really powerful, as I said, but it's cheap, it's obtainable. You can get either the Master Collection card or ultra rare for odd one gorillas from the Proving Ground store. I think the ultra rare for the odd one gorillas was a featured card, I think in the, can't remember if it was, I think it was the last Earth Commander event. So if you manage to get a copy there, I got 2 copies. If you manage to get 1 copy there, then you can create the ultimate form for the odd one gorillas, which will work relatively well in conjunction with, as I said, your main card or event card, some people might call it, and your support cards. And if you've got other cards lying around that can produce power gems, you can throw those in the mix as well. So those are some of the combination that I've got for you today. Hopefully information is relatively good. Hopefully you find it interesting. If you did, just hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment below. Not sure the comment is actually working because I haven't been getting much comment for a few months now. I have to have a look at that. I've been trying to figure out why it isn't working, but I'll have to figure it out and enable it if it was switched off. So like, subscribe, as I said, and this is Octane saying peace and enjoy the rest of the event. Bye for now.